And good morning, y'all, and welcome to Saturday Night Fishing Coffee. Woo! We made it through 2 weeks. Can you believe it?
No.
Yeah. Good morning, Lovey. Hey, this morning.
Good morning. I hope that everybody had a really nice Easter weekend.
Yeah. Did you celebrate it?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, lunch, but no,
Yeah.
I didn't go to church or anything like that.
No. Okay. That Sunday. Yeah. We went to church. I'm trying to think. That evening. We had singing that evening. That Sunday evening. With the church family. Other than that, it was just a normal Sunday. So that was awesome. Okay. For those that are watching, lurking, appreciate it. Those watching replay, you guys rock. I just wish y'all could get earlier, get on time, that way you can watch it live instead of replay. But we still love you. So stay tuned. I'm going to welcome everybody. Those that are already here. Way, Sam is up early. Good morning. Good morning, 3G. Atkins. Woo! Lovely is all excited about this. The Ian's up already to get some wisdom from Lovey. Isn't that awesome?
I think it'll be the other way around. I think Ian has a bit more experience than I do.
Here we are, going in a bit, y'all. Yep. Jason! That's unknown! Good morning! Why, you up early too, brother? I made the bottom of the chat, y'all. Let's go ahead and play a little clip for you, and then after the clip, we'll get right into the topic.
Hello everyone, my name is Lovey and today we're going to talk all about frozen food.
It's Sissy. Cool.
Let's talk real quick about the benefits of feeding your fish frozen foods. You may be used to feeding your fish flakes and pellets, which is perfectly fine. However, frozen foods have better nutrition that keep your fish healthier in the long run. Some other fish, for example my half-banded spiny eel, only accept frozen or live foods, so feeding flakes or pellets is not an option. You can either buy frozen fish food at the pet store, or you can make your own if you're breeding your own fish food, such as brine shrimp. In this video, I'll show you 2 ways to feed frozen food to your fish. So let's begin. Here's some frozen food that I bought from my local pet store. You can see that it's pre-frozen into little cubes that are really easy to just break off and take as much as you need for one feeding. In my case, I need 3 cubes of food to feed my whole tank. Here, I'm using 3 different cubes of food, as increasing variety in your fish's diet really helps with their health and their colors. The first way to thaw the cubes is by putting them into a fine sieve and letting it run under lukewarm water. This washes the food and brings it up to temperature so that way you can serve it right away to your fish. Just be sure not to use hot water during this step. Lukewarm is more than adequate. I like to use a pair of aquascaping tweezers to gently place the food into the aquarium and swish it around so it goes into a larger area. Spreading the food out over a larger area keeps the fish from fighting over food and makes sure that everybody gets a piece. My fish adore frozen food and they go absolutely ballistic every time I feed them with it. My goldfish also receive frozen food, though not as often as the tropical community tank. The goldfish also get frozen thawed deshelled peas that I make at home to help with their digestion and prevent swim bladder disorders. The second method that I'm going to show you now is taking some of your frozen food and adding some of the tank water of the tank that you're going to feed. The tank water should thaw the cube until it's ready to be served to the fish. In this glass here, I have some Cyclops that I'm going to feed to my fish fry. Once it's thawed, I can use a glass pipette or a turkey baster to directly bring the Cyclops into the areas of the tank that I want to feed. Frozen food provides great nutrition to fish fry, which is very important for their development. The only thing better would to be use live food. However, some people, such as myself, are unable to keep a breeding setup for the kind of food required, like baby brine shrimp or cyclops. Another thing to keep in mind when you're feeding your fish frozen food is that you're feeding them the correct frozen food. Cyclops, for example, I only feed to my fry as it's too small for my bigger fish in the other aquariums to eat. If you don't have a glass pipette or turkey baster to put the food into the aquarium, no worries. If you used aquarium water to thaw out the cube, you can just dump it right back in. So as you can see, feeding frozen food to your fish is really easy. Don't forget to love your fish. See you next time.
And that was awesome, y'all. She did a great job, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to Lovey. She does a good job at fish keeping.
Thank you.
And YouTube. I mean, she's a great YouTuber.
Oh, you're too sweet.
Good morning. All the way from Florida. Garcia Aquatic here. Is that good enough, Garcia? Hi this morning, bro. Good to see ya. I'm a bad daddy. I just throw the cubes right in. Oh. I've been waiting and letting them thaw in cold water. I gotta try that. See, Lovey? Your video is awesome. People are gonna try it out now. Hello, Lovey and Vibes. Yeah, hello, Garcia.
Yeah.
See how much you are important to the live stream.
Yeah, baby brine shrimp. I would actually love to do it more often, but it never really works out for me very well. And if it does, then they always end up becoming adult quicker than I can feed them. So I just buy frozen, and it works a whole lot better for me.
And do you normally look at the ingredients on the back of the package, see what's in it? On the back of the package, it'll tell you the ingredients. Is that important?
I mean, the ones that I buy, when you look at the package, it usually says, unless you get a mixed cube, it usually says 100% Artemia, 100% Cyclopes, that kind of thing. So I think it just depends on the quality of food that you're buying. Okay. And here, I don't know, maybe it has to do with food laws or something, but here you really can't find it pure.
Awesome. See, I should be in Germany right now. No, because whenever I get frozen food, frozen cubes, I have to double check, make sure the ingredients are exactly what it is, and not a lot of fillers.
Yeah. The only cube that I have here that's a mixed cube, it's called Tolpix, like tropics, and that one has red bloodworms, white bloodworms, Daphnia, Artemia. Oh boy. And I think also a little bit of algae, like just plant. But other than that, it's all completely. It's not this. What would you call it? Like almost this fish slag, like this leftover nasty stuff that really shouldn't be fed to fish.
Right. Exactly. Because it depends on especially the bloodworms. For those watching, my discus, I don't feed my discus any bloodworms at all because it's known to give disease. There's a fish that I rescued that the guy was feeding the bloodworms, and it wasn't very good. They had a lot of disease on the outside of the fish and also inside parasites. And the one did not make it. I lost the one because, So, I mean, I'm not gonna promise that that's what caused it, but I quit doing that, and the fish turned around pretty healthy now, back to normal. So be careful what you feed your fish, y'all. And if you got any doubt You can ask any YouTuber, um, Google it, ask your fish store about the food you feed your fish. Make sure you're not feeding them something that will give them bloat, internal parasites, all that stuff, because that can be nasty. So.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I feel like parasites are sometimes overlooked in our fish, especially if we pick up fish from a local fish store that come from very large breeders. There's often the risk that they have parasites and could pass them on to your tank, or even the eggs, where you remove the fish or they died from the parasitism, but the eggs are still in your tank, and that is really difficult to beat then, And a lot of that can also come from food if it comes from untrustworthy sources.
Right. Frozen foods are my go-to. Exactly. Yeah. Even with my frozen foods, I still feed flakes and pellets. Give them a variety of diet. Yeah. You're right, Ian. Yeah, for pellets and flakes, I look at the ingredients. Actually, all the fish food I feed, I double check, make sure I know I'm feeding my fish. Awesome, Garcia. Hey, Greg. I ain't telling you what to do with your discus. I'm just telling you what works for me and what I avoid. But if your fish are healthy, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If it ain't broken, don't fix it. But I'm just giving you a heads up what issue I've been having with, and when I quit doing that, it turned around. So and the all back the ones that made it are back to normal again. So let's move on to the topic this morning. What is the topic this morning, anyways, Lovey?
Let me think. Did it maybe have to do with saltwater?
That does sound kind of familiar. Let's see what we can do about that, y'all. Sure enough, do what? Someone's aquascaping. A saltwater set, y'all. Got good news, eh? So what's this going into, Lovey?
This is some dead reef rock, just white and bleached out, and that is going to go into my 125-gallon saltwater tank. Or rather, it is already in my saltwater tank. It's cycling right now.
How long did it take to set this up?
To set it up, well, like I said before, I got this tank and it already had all the goodies. It had everything with it. All I really had to do was add saltwater, rocks, and sand. So in that case, it didn't take me that long. I just had to pick up the reef rock. I spent an evening putting the rock out on cardboard and trying out different things to see how I wanted it to look in the tank. I marked the cardboard with the correct dimensions. And then once I decided how I liked how it looked, I took reef cement, and there's one little spot that has a little epoxy. And I basically did a modular reef setup where basically this whole thing looks like it's one piece. However, it's actually at least 7 different pieces, like of 2 or 3 rocks at a time that are cemented together with reef cement. And that'll make it easier if I ever need to remove rock or I need to move the tank, etc. And yeah, it seems to hold really well. The reef cement was a little bit annoying to mix together. It dries really, really quick, but I was able to lift those right up and into the tank, so it's very strong, and I can definitely recommend it if you're not afraid to get your hands a little dirty.
Perfect. Well, you're talking to a professional right here, y'all. If y'all get questions about saltwater, bring them on, and she'll answer each and every one of them. So
no, I really can't wait to set some. I can't wait till it's done cycling to set some fish in there.
So did you mix your own saltwater?
Yeah. I always mix my own salt water. I have what is this called in English? A reverse osmosis system. I wish that I had a bigger one so it would go a little bit faster. And I have a rain barrel that has 220 liters, so it's like 60 gallons, maybe. Yeah. I could be doing the math a little wrong there. But it's a really big blue rainwater barrel. And first I'll let the osmosis water run into there. And then I have like a little wave maker that's specifically just for mixing salt. And I'll bring it up to temperature, bring the salinity up to the correct, salinity, and then using a pump and a really, really long hose, I brought it all the way from that room into the saltwater tank and filled it up, and the sump that's underneath too.
Okay. And is the substrate the sand? Was that live sand or was it just dry?
Yeah, it's part of it was dry. So I did some calculations on exactly how much sand I needed to buy to get a certain level. I wanted to have around 1.5 inches of sand. Not too deep, but I don't really like the bare bottom too much. And I ended up buying one bigger bag and one that was like a medium, smaller bag, all in kilos. And the bigger bag was all live sand, and the smaller one, I believe, was aragonite and some crushed coral in it. And it's all very, very fine sand.
Nice. So, and how long of a process from the time you set it up to the time it's ready for fish? What's the time frame?
Yeah. Well, it really depends on the nitrogen cycle, as you guys know, how quickly it takes to really get all that ammonia and turn it into nitrate eventually. Because I don't have anything in the tank right now. I don't have a refugium set up that could remove the nitrate itself. So far, it's looking really, really good. But yeah, I've been using live sand. I've been using some really nice products. This one is called Night Out, and there's also a special blend. I'd have to see what the brand name is on those. I use that for my goldfish tank as well, and it cycles really, really quickly. So in this case, I believe that in about 2 weeks, it actually should be ready for fish by then.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, well, it was the same with my goldfish tank. I was surprised myself. I have to see what the brand name is on that. It's a really excellent product. Like, I'm not sponsored or anything, but I can really, really recommend that one if you're starting a new tank. It helps the tank cycle super quickly. My goldfish tank, which is 130 gallons, that one cycled with no previous seeded filter or anything like that, just completely brand spanking new. It cycled in 3.5 weeks with that product. So I can really recommend it for freshwater and saltwater.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm gonna go backtrack a little bit. Since Garcia did mention Extreme got flakes for discus. Hey, yeah, Garcia. Actually, for those that wondered, I use Extreme Krill Flakes for my discus as a flake product. I used some other pellets, some other brand pellets for my discus, but this stuff, they totally destroy it. They love it. And I have not seen any issues at all with it. But if you do overfeed, it can cloud the water up, so you gotta be careful with that. Because there is extra mixture in here that shouldn't be in here, in my opinion. But so I do feed. I know the saltwater fans are gonna be upset with me, but I feed this to all my fish. It's a new spectrum. It's sold for saltwater fish, but I get it very cheap in cost wise. So I feed to most of my fish. It has it's supposed to be for marine fish formula, but it has most of your freshwater same ingredients in freshwater fish would eat. So, and also this is a small pellet, which it guarantees that all the fish in the tank have a chance to eat, and not just the big ones. So by giving them a variety of diet all one time, a frozen food, the flakes and the pellets, I got some large ones I feed occasionally. That way, the big fish have food, babies, they're all happy. Moving on. The San Francisco Bay brand, I don't know though. They're often brown and smell bad, so I only go for Akara blood worms now. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, at San Francisco Bay, you gotta be careful. Yeah, it does smell bad. Awesome! See, Levy, I told you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah. I wanted to have something that, where there's caves and maybe some columns coming up. And yeah, I mean, I kind of wish that I'd been able to get a little bit more height, especially on the columns, the spikes that are moving to the side. But I think that once I eventually get corals in there, especially if I get a couple of easy SPS like Montipora, for example, then they'll grow up on those tips, and it'll keep on growing up, and I'll get that height that I want eventually.
Right, and also you have more room for your corals to grow. If you get some long ones, fast growing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also important to me. The reason why I didn't want to build it too high either is because I will be getting what is that called now? It's so stupid sometimes with the different names. I think it's a purple tang. It's like the yellow tang, but it's purple with a yellow tail. And that one, it needs some swimming space. So I didn't want to take up too much of the actual tank with rock. And instead, it's kind of more covering the bottom. Like there's a lot of rock space there, and caves for the different fish species that like caves. And yeah, we'll see how that works out for me.
Awesome. Yeah, Ian.
Yeah.
Got some live rock in the mix.
I'd love to get some live rock. The only issue with me is that I live out in the middle of nowhere, and to drive anywhere to go and pick that up is a good drive for me. So I was thinking maybe picking up some live rock once I go to the pet store to get the fish. However, by that point, I don't really need live rock because it's already cycled. So,
yeah, Ian. Yeah, it was cycled so much faster. I agree, 100%. And you don't need a whole pile of live rock. You just need like a few to add to your tank. I guess Lovey is better escaper than me, and I really appreciate all the work she does, and I really like her videos. Woo! And I haven't mentioned it yet, but Lovey made it over 200 subscribers already, y'all.
Yeah.
And I mean, that blows my mind.
Yeah, it just hit 200 subscribers. I think as of today, I'm at 207 or 208. I didn't check before we started today, but yeah, I'm trying my best, and I'm feeling really, really good whenever people, like for example, Garcia, whenever I see those comments or I see people saying, hey, that helped me, or hey, like I really, really appreciate that. Like the community engagement, let's call it that. Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button, y'all, and the share button, especially because Lovey is here. Hey, good morning, Tea and Fish Keeper. How are you this morning? You up early? Back to the fish. Do you have any wave makers in the tank?
I have 1, 2, 3. I think I have 3 in there. Plus, there's the output from the sump in the bottom. So I have a little bit of movement in there because that's very important, not only for the corals, but also for the fish. So that way, it simulates their natural behavior, their natural environment a little bit better. And I think it might help with some aggression from the tang.
So when you start adding livestock to the tank, are you adding any like cleanup crew at all?
Yeah, I actually went back and forth on that for a long time because I was thinking, oh, now I have a tank that's big enough. Now I can finally get an urchin, like a tuxedo urchin or a collector urchin. And then I looked it up and I was thinking, oh, these guys like to wear things on their heads like a hat. And they might move around my corals. And I was thinking, that's maybe not ideal. And I was looking at a bunch of other stuff like the, what are they called? The brittle stars and the digging sea stars and things like that. And in the end, I actually decided on just some regular turbo snails and what are they called? Either some Babylon snails or small species of conch to move around in the substrate. Because the urchin is just, he's going to move stuff around. The sea stars might go after smaller fish, and I just want to have the least amount of stress as possible when it comes to this tank.
it can still be beneficial to add live rock even after cycling. Live rock will bring in sponges, copepods, amphipods, maybe some beryl stars, and other beneficial bacteria. True. Hey, Ain, that's a good idea. Because it's an easy way to get this other critters in your tank without actually going out and buying the critters.
Yeah, and I almost forgot about those sponges. I used to, in my last saltwater tank, I had, I think they're called pineapple sponges, and they're like really, really, really tiny little things, and they're kind of see-through, but they look a little bit like pineapples from the shape, and they're beneficial, and they don't mess with anybody, and they don't breed like nuts, you know, and it always made me really happy to see a pineapple sponge here or there. It was really cool.
Awesome! Woo! Yes, you may get some pests, but in reality, your problems you probably still get them when you add coral. So don't worry about adding the bad. You add life.
Yeah, I do agree to a certain extent, because in that way it's very similar to freshwater. Like, I don't really know too many people who intentionally introduce duckweed or ram's horn or bladder snails into their tank, but they're there. And even though they can be really annoying because of the prolific breeding that they do, duckweed is really great at pulling nitrate out of the water. And ram's horn, bladder, and Malaysian trumpet snails are really, really good at cleaning up detritus and moving around the substrate in your tank, so it stays really clean. Yeah, pineapple sponges.
All right, TNA Fishkeeper. You have a great day. Time for some rest. Hey, rest good. And dream about saltwater fish, bro. Especially the big among the sharks. Now, how did that go good from bad? Do you have like a okay? What do you have in your sub for filter wise?
I have filter floss, different filter sponges, like the coarse and the very, very fine. I have a mesh bag of activated carbon. I have 2 different kinds of bio balls. One is like the typical bio ball that looks kind of like lava rock. It's got 1,000 little holes in it. And the other one's kind of weird. It almost looks like a cough drop, but it's also a similar thing. And it's just different levels of filtration and catching dirt. And I do have the protein skimmer also on the sump down there. And what else do I have? I was thinking, if it ends up being a problem. The thing is, I have a couple of herbivores on my stocking list who will really, really appreciate having some algae in the tank. So I don't really know if I want to basically do a refugium too on this tank, but that might also come later, depending on the nutrient levels and how much algae is actually being eaten by the herbivores in the tank.
That's actually my next question. If you're going to add a refugium to the tank.
Yeah, like I said, I've been thinking about it because it's I do have the space, I do have the capability, and I do have an extra tank and lights and all that stuff left over. But I want to play that one by ear, because it's something that I can always do later, and I don't want to starve out my herbivores. You know, that everybody needs to have something to eat. And when you have someone like a tang, you know, like a purple or yellow tang in your tank, and I also have some others on the list. I think the Midas blenny also likes to eat a little algae, and obviously the snails and such. I don't want to pull so much out of the water that my corals don't grow well and that there's not enough algae for these guys to graze on during the day.
Awesome advice. Hey, good morning, Melvin. The Legacy One-Stop Cards. How are you this morning? Yeah, duckweed is another thing to manage, just like Aptasia. It's eradication with the squeeze. Yeah, it is eradication with the squeeze.
Yeah, and in saltwater, it's almost like sometimes the bad pests can actually give you the opportunity to try something new. Because, for example, another thing that's on my stocking list that will be set at the same time as the tang, so it's going to be at least another month and a half from now, because those guys are a little bit more aggressive, is either a cosmatus, like an ornament, or a Melanaris wrasse, because they will also eat Aptasia. And there's a lot of really cool saltwater fish that will eat Aptasia and actually need it in the tank. So if you don't have those in your tank, then you lose out on the opportunity to keep those kinds of fish. So
Right.
good and bad.
So, got a question for you. Off the top of my head. Do you have a lid on the tank?
I do not have a lid on this tank, and I've been making a lot of thoughts about that. I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to jerry rig something together because apparently, especially when I was doing all this research on all the different fish species that you can keep in this size tank, saltwater fish like to jump. A lot of them really like to jump.
Mm-hmm.
And the Red Seas, or at least this Red Sea here, doesn't come with a cover. It doesn't come with a lid. And I've never had a fish jump out on me before, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. And I really don't want to lose a 200 euro fish because he got spooked by the baby running by. And yeah.
Yep. Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't know how many I've lost my saltwater collection, but I've lost a lot by jumping. And I went and did an egg crate for the lid. You know, the egg crate that it's a white. Anyways, I've done that, but I still lose fish. So I have not got any more fish since then. I've only got like 4 fish right now in the tank.
Yeah.
But I'm still debating how to avoid that. I thought about maybe adding a canopy above the tank. That way, if they do jump, it'll hit the canopy and fall back in again.
Mm.
Because, yeah, that, like you said, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's a loss of life that if we can, let's avoid it.
Yeah, I love my fish so much. Even if it's the same thing with my goldfish. There's no lid on that tank, and honestly, I think these guys are too fat to jump out. But if they did, I would be absolutely heartbroken, and my cat would be ecstatic, and that's just not something I want to think about.
Right. And if for those watching it, I'm still playing with the idea of having a tank set up without a heater. For those that actually, to the truth, the tank right here, it does not have a heater on the tank at all, but the temperature keeps it at 81 degrees just because of the light, the pumps on this tank right here. So I've been thinking if I can do the same idea on my other tanks, heater is not be involved with the tank. That way, I won't have a problem with a heater failure.
No. I think it really depends. First of all, on the type of tank that you have set up, and second of all, the temperature of the room that they're in. For example, my goldfish tank, I do have a heater here for it, but the temperature of the room, the ambient temperature, is actually perfect for the goldfish.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of hanging it in there and just possibly having a heater failure and frying up my goldfish, I'm just leaving it there for now because they're pretty cool with the temperature, and if it changes 1 or 2 degrees in either direction, they're totally chill because they're basically pond fish.
Right.
However, in the winter, I probably will put on a heater just to keep everything normal and keep them happy. I don't know if that would work though for cichlids because they do like it warmer, so you'd have to keep the room pretty warm.
Yeah. Y'all, anything below 60 degrees, 60 for cichlids is not a good thing. I almost lost a whole tank full of them. That was back. That was last year. To be honest, last winter. I had a tank and the water got down to below 60 degrees. I thought I lost a fish. They were all not moving. None of them. They were in a pile at the bottom. So I said, okay, that tank. It was in the morning. I had to go to work. I said, okay, I'll deal with the fish when I get home. They're dead, whatever. I went to work, come home, and I started. I was going to catch them out, put them to rest, right?
Yeah.
And they started moving. I said, do what? So I tested the temperature of the water. It was 55 degrees. I quickly did a water change, and I added the temperature. I had like a 10 degrees uprise. So I didn't want to change it too fast because that could be fatal. So I got 65 degrees. I put a heater in the tank, which, hey, have a spare heater around at all times. That way, if you do need to raise the temperature up on a tank, you can do it. So I rose it up to 72 degrees. They all made it. I think, do what? So I still have them in a hospital tank, quarantine tank yet. I know it's been 5 months now, 6 months now, but the reason I have not added them to the tank that they're going into, they're still too small yet to add because I'm afraid that they'll become fish food for my big cichlids. So I'll give them another couple weeks yet. I'm on the verge of going to add them because the mother tank has a lot of hiding spots, and they're all other cichlids in the tank the same size now. So I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, it's good that it worked out then. Yeah.
My opinion: do not start your food till your tank is at least 6 months old.
Yeah.
True. Thank you, Ian. That's awesome advice.
Yeah, I think that's really good too because it's almost like a new person. You have to get to know how they work and how they tick before you can, I don't want to make any big changes like that and pull all the nitrate and phosphate out of the water and then my corals are just left with nothing and algae isn't growing. That's just not the kind of tank that I'm going to end up running. I guess if you had like a pure SPS tank, like just only the short polyp stonies, that might work because they really want their water clean. But LPS, the ones that I'm going to focus the most on, they like to have a little nitrate in the water. And I just think a refugium would not only affect that, but the algae growth. And I just don't think it's a good idea right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ian. I wouldn't even start skimmer till 3 to 4 months into it.
Oh, that's why. Yeah. I'd like to know, why wouldn't I turn my skimmer on for a couple of months? How does that affect the tank in the long run?
Because the skimmer is removing the bast out of the tank.
No. Yeah.
And you want your tank to become established, become basically an ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're removing all that bad stuff that your critters and your fish would eat normally. Hey, yeah, Ian, could you give us a little more update on that, the skimmer? Because I want to know too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not running my skimmer on this yet because other than just the fish food that I'm using to ghost feed the tank and feed the bacteria, there's no fish waste or anything in here. So I'm not running my skimmer, but actually I would also like to know more about that because if I shouldn't turn my skimmer on for a while and it gives me better results, then yeah, I guess I have something new to research again this afternoon.
Yeah. Lovely. What do you think about saltwater better?
Absolutely gorgeous fish. Beautiful. But he's probably going to eat my smaller fish. So he's not for me.
Actually, what size tank would you recommend for a saltwater better?
I honestly couldn't say. I've personally never kept them, so I would feel uncomfortable giving advice on the subject when there's others who probably know better than I do.
Yeah. I saw my first saltwater betta. Let me see. That was last year. I was doing a local fish store tour, and the lady, one of the employees, said, "Hey, come on over here. Let's show you." I went over there, and they just got in the saltwater betta. So that was an awesome surprise. That was one of my dream fish to see in the saltwater hobby.
Okay.
And they're beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, they're real stunners. I think they look amazing. I mean, they're totally beautiful. But yeah, when you're putting together the stocking for a saltwater tank, it's almost like a piece of art. And every brush stroke has to be in the right spot. And for me personally, a marine betta would just not really fit into the masterpiece, So I'll have to pass, despite its beauty.
Right. Red Sea makes a screen top. I have one on my water box.
Oh, okay. I might have to look into that. And if it's too expensive, then maybe I can at least look at it and try to copy it and try to make my own. I really don't want to lose any fish.
No, definitely not. Let's show y'all. Yeah, let's see what I can do. Move this. For those that wondered what we're talking about, saltwater better.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
They're insanely beautiful. They check all the boxes for me, honestly, from like the way it looks, you know? It's got an unusual shape with long pretty fins, and color is great and pattern is great. It's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
Can't you imagine that? Hey, Ian, what size tank would a person need for a marine betta to thrive? Anyways, I just thought I'd put it up there for those that didn't know. There is a saltwater betta.
Yeah.
Firefish, dotterbacks, gobies, and wrasses are jumpers. Exactly, Melvin. Right on. Yeah. For those that wondered, those are the ones that I lost, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh, man. See, I've had a firefish before. I've had firefish and gobies on a lidless tank, and they never jumped, you know? But I am definitely going to trust the experiences of others, especially since they probably have a lot more experience than me, and look into some kind of lid for the tank, because I would not. I'm going on my stocking list. I have firefish and wrasses, and I wouldn't forgive myself if I lost those guys.
Yeah, I used to have a schooling of them. I had like 4 firefish, the 2 red, 2 purple. Then I had the goby. I had the zebra goby, or the bar, and also the scissortail.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And then I had a yellow chorus wrasse, a spider chorus wrasse, and there was another wrasse. I had like, probably about 10 different fish like that. And one by one, they started disappearing.
That's terrible. That's
so
awful.
I still want to get back to having those kind of fish in my tank, but until I have a cover that I can basically guarantee 100% that they won't jump out, or they can't jump out, I guess I won't have them again. So yeah. Making a canopy is cheaper.
Yeah, I believe that. Red Sea is super duper expensive. Like, I can't believe I have one sitting here in my living room because they are just insanely expensive.
Hey, Ian, how do you know? Saltwater fish is a must. Are you going to have expensive fish chips? Have you tried them yet? How do they taste? Kind of salty? All saltwater fish will jump. Yeah. I mean, hey, be honest with y'all, the egg crate does work if you have the bigger fish, because the holes are only that size.
Yeah.
So a clownfish would not be able to get out, you know, a duck clownfish, which I have. Yeah.
I might look into that, what you said about the egg crate, because I think that would be the quickest and cheapest temporary option. And a lot of the fish on my stock list, they're not huge, but they wouldn't fit through through the space on an egg crate. So that might be a really good option for now, until I can find something more permanent.
Yeah, anything that's slender, like gobies, firefish, wrasses, those are all ones that could jump out of the egg crate. So, And the egg crate, for those who wonder, I picked mine up from a local hardware store, like lumber yard, like Home Depot, Lowe's, those were in America. Um, they cost like $16, $20 for a 4 foot by. Is it, no, not 4 foot. Is it a 2 foot by 4 foot? I don't know. Piece of egg crate. It's actually a light diffuser with ceiling lights. So, what happened, Garcia? You got bad news? Oh, you don't make it to Alcantara, Dallas. Hey, Garcia, we'll try to make it without you. We might have to cancel it. I mean, hey, Garcia, you're gonna miss meeting my sister. She's coming down for the event. So,
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah. I took her with me to Orlando last year. Was it January? Last January, February, Alcochella in Orlando, and she loved it. And after that, she started her own tank up.
Really? Yeah, that's always the best.
So it was perfect. The skimmer is going to remove decaying organics. If you're running a brand new tank, new rock, new sand, new fish, you have very little in the beginning. You should just do water changes in the start.
Okay. That's really good advice. Thank you, Ian. Like I said, I really want to do it right this time. I don't want to have another 1.5 year long struggle of, everything's going fine until it's absolutely not. And yeah, I'm going to definitely try that. I'm going to keep an eye on that and do it that way.
Don't worry about your pH or your alkalinity for now. The salinity, temperature, and lighting stable from the start.
Yeah, actually, I think I need to buy a temperature controller because I'm noticing that the heater that I have, because the room is actually a little colder than the tank needs to be. So I do need to heat the water right now. And the heater is just not really exact enough. And I do notice that sometimes when I check the temperature, it's gone up past a point that I don't like, and then I change it on the heater, and then it's too low. So I think I may actually have to invest in getting a temperature controller for the tank.
Yeah, that's not a bad advice. Okay, you don't have one, but they get big, so get a big tank. Yeah, for the marine better. Yeah. Water change. When in doubt, just do a water change. Hey, actually, Ian, that's good advice across the board for aquariums. If you're in doubt, do a water change.
Absolutely. That works on pretty much any tank.
A lot of your diseases, y'all, are a result of bad water condition. The only reason I know that is a lot of my rescues I've done, the tanks were neglected and the fish had a lot of illnesses. I bring them home, put them in a brand new tank or a coaching tank, and add bit of bacteria to the tank, and do water changes every week or every couple of days, and like instantly, fish starts getting better. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The chips, salty with a hint of pepper. Nice, Ian. I like it. That might be a new thing. Yellow tang chip.
No.
That'd be kind of an expensive chip to eat, by the way.
No, I'd really prefer not. And especially I'd prefer not for my cat to have a big old purple tang fish chip. Absolutely not.
Your cat might love you for it.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Ian says, you got this, Lovey. Look at that.
Thank you. I'm going to try my best. And the cool thing is that now I'm actually part of a community of people where if I have an issue, I can actually reach out to all you guys and maybe figure it out and not go crazy about it by myself.
Yeah. And by the way, y'all, I'm actually excited as much as any of y'all watching about Lovey's tank. It gives me a glimpse because it's been the 4 years since I've started a saltwater tank. So, something maybe I missed. I don't know. So it's kind of like relearning the process of how to do it. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, when I got this home, this big old tank here, I mean, at first I had all of the failures from my last tank like flash in front of my eyes, but then I really thought, like, with some resolve and a whole lot more research and more patience and being more careful, this time I'm gonna make it right. And I really did have to relearn a lot of things because I hadn't been running a saltwater tank for a while. But I really do feel like I do think that saltwater is an attainable thing for freshwater keepers. It's just less forgiving, and you really, really have to do your research. You can't just plunge in and expect it to all go well.
Hold on, y'all. I'm doing a little research.
Are you looking up the marine betta?
No. Let's see what I can do. Hold on. Let's see. No, this is not what I want. Back up. I'm trying to pull up a video for y'all. Maybe this might be it. I don't like bringing up bad news, but I think this is something that would be helpful for all of us to see.
My purple tank.
Evan Montgomery here. As I'm sure all of you are aware by now, Jake Adams passed away a little over 2 weeks ago while on a flight to Bali for a scuba diving trip. We still don't know an official cause yet, but we know that whatever took his life was very sudden and seemingly free of pain. So at least there's that. This is obviously an absolute shock to everyone, especially his wife Windsor and the rest of the Adams family, as well as myself and the team here at Reef Builders. Personally, I've spent more time with Jake over the last 4 years than with any other person by far. Working with him since the early days of the studio, when at that point the only aquatic life was contained in a nano in the workshop. Building the studio really was the opportunity of a lifetime. And though I've been in the hobby since I was a child, I basically had to forget everything I knew about reefing and adopt the Jake Adams ways. It was just the two of us running the studio, so inevitably I learned the inner workings of his passion in great detail. The time I was able to work with Jake was a true blessing, and I miss him every minute of every day. I'm sure I'm not the only one who still keeps pulling out my phone 10 times a day to ask Jake a question or bounce an idea off of him. Although taking care of Jake's tanks the last couple of weeks has been quite emotional. I have been there every day, so don't worry. The Reef Builders studio you all know and love isn't going anywhere anytime soon. We have no shortage of ideas for future videos, and I can't wait to bring them to you. The amount of support from the community in all areas of the industry has been extremely heartwarming. We've heard from everybody we know, all corners of the globe, and it feels a little better to know that we're not going through this alone. Jake's family has set up a GoFundMe to help support Jake's wife, Windsor, who they just found out is expecting their first child. I'll include a link in the video description if anybody is interested in helping out. Anyway.
That's heartbreaking. I didn't realize his wife was expecting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Ian, for that. You remind me of that. Thank you. Yeah, I love watching Jake Adams. He gave me a lot of information in the saltwater side. So yeah, love it. If you have any questions like that, watch his videos. He has a lot of information.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've seen some of his videos before. I've actually been doing a lot of my research in German. And strangely enough, just a few weeks ago, one of the guys who was here, it's called Plankton Plus. That guy actually also just very suddenly passed away. So I feel like a lot of the really cool saltwater and freshwater fish keepers, there's a couple who have unfortunately left us way too early. And yeah, it's just really saddening, honestly. There's not much else to say.
While Ian is running the show, I'm gonna see if I can pull up this video that Ian is talking about. I'm gonna see if I quick find it. It's a short video.
There was actually another, here in Germany, there was a guy named Norbert Zayak, and he was the one who founded, and it's still running, the largest pet store in the entire world. And he also just passed away not too long ago, within the last couple of months, very suddenly. Really terrible. He did a lot of really good things for the hobby, though, so, or for several hobbies, not just fish keeping, but all sorts of things. Different kinds of pet keeping hobbies.
Okay, I got it, y'all. Let's go ahead and bring it up. Around here, we do stuff. There.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jake Adams from Reef Builders, and it occurred to me that a lot of people do not know how to acclimate their coral. So this is a quick 2-minute guide to show you how to acclimate your coral. I just got back from the fish store, and I got a couple juicy pieces of coral here. This is the limited edition Uti Uti Baba Fox Chalice coral right here. I think that's what it's called. And splurge a little bit. Finally got myself a master scholier. Look at that guy. He's all happy, ready for the dark. All right. Now, most important thing when acclimating your corals is when you are cutting out a chalice coral, the most important thing is not to cut the coral with the scissors because they have very delicate skeleton and tissue. You just go up from the top, open it up, and there we go. Spill it into a bucket because you don't want that shit going over the floor. Guess I'm going to have to censor that part. Oh, there we go. Now, come on in. Here we go. This is the Uti Baba Fox Chalice coral. And acclimated. Done. One down. All right. Now, if you warm me over here. Most important thing to know about acclimating a Scolemia coral is a little bit heavy and slippery. So when you're acclimating one of these, you just don't want to drop it. Instead, you want to cut the tissue, go from the top. All right. And here we go. Come on in, check this guy out. And he's acclimated. Look at that coral. Isn't he pretty? It's a pretty coral. And put him down here. And it's done. And that is how you acclimate a coral.
What do you think about that?
To be honest, when I used to, with my last saltwater tank, I also did something similar with the difference that I used coral dip for my corals because a lot of them I would order them online. I didn't really pick them up locally because there really aren't very many nice corals locally that are affordable. But yeah, more or less, you just kind of recommend.
Right. Yeah, thank
Good
you,
to know
Ian, for
that I was
that.
doing it right.
That's actually, yeah. That's probably too much. Acclimation was too slow, probably. But that was awesome, Ian. That's good advice. Put the Jake Adams video up. It kind of reminded me when I add small core to the tank. It's very simple. And if you got any doubt, you could core dip. Actually, on my core, I do a core dip before I put it in my tank, just in case I'm not adding any extra pests to the tank that I don't need.
Yeah, the thing is, I dipped all of my corals, and I still ended up with some hitchhikers. Every once in a while, I get an Asterina starfish, and Aptasia and pineapple sponges, and some things I removed and some things I didn't. I think in this tank, I'm still going to continue doing coral dips so I don't end up with some crazy species of mean bristleworm or something like that. But I don't think I'm going to worry as much as I did with my first tank about things like Aptasia and such, because actually it's good for the variety of, like, let's say just the ecosystem in there. And I think when you're a newbie, you kind of just freak out because you don't know which things are an acceptable amount of pest and which things are absolutely going to eat your corals and, so on and so on.
Yeah, Houston from us way too soon. I wish his family the best. Exactly. Thank you, Ian. His energy is difficult to put into words. No one can replace him. Well, yes and no. Ian, you're one of them. You're definitely helping. I appreciate it. Ian, keep it up. And all the other YouTubers out there that are in the saltwater side, you're helping to fill in the loss of Jake Adams. You're helping. But yeah, I'll agree with you, Ian. It's hard to replace him. Yeah. Thank you for that, Ian. You're awesome. One more quick question. Are you thinking of adding any bubble tip anemones to the tank?
I really like bubble tip anemones. And now the tank is big enough to hold one. However, I don't think that I'll be adding one for the simple fact that they can get up and leave the spot that you put them in, and then they'll sting everything in the way. And if I end up, and I probably will end up investing a good bit of money into nice corals, and then an enemy just decides, oh, well, I don't like it here, and he stings and kills all my corals. Yeah, I just don't want to take the risk. I'd like to minimize the amount of stress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anemones are amazing because when they're in your tank, they're having a party. And some reason, if that group that they're in kind of makes them upset, they'll get up and walk off. Right now I got 1, 2, 3. I got 4 bubble tips right now in my tank.
Mm.
But you know what, y'all? I don't have a lot of expensive coral in my tank right now, so it doesn't bother me. I'm actually thinking about doing a bubble tip tank setup.
Yeah, that would be super cool with a bunch of bubble tips and then some clownfish to host them or something.
Mm-hmm. Cause can you imagine a whole tank just wavy?
Yeah, that's what I like about LPS corals so much, especially things like Alveopora and Goniopora, torches, all those things that really wave.
But ain't they kind of pricey though?
Absolutely.
What? There you go. She said it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I am part of a couple of groups though, like on I don't think you guys have WhatsApp, but
yeah, we do.
I'm part of a couple of groups like that where people will trade or sell their frags, and there's a couple of also personal, like smaller people who do online stores who I've had really good experiences with in the past, and they're also more affordable. So I'll figure out a way to get my Alveoporas again and hopefully not pay an arm and a leg for them.
Awesome. Yeah. Probably my favorite ones were the gold torch. Even the green one I enjoyed, but I don't know if I'll ever get back to those that kind of keeping a coral because of the price wise, and they're too easy to lose.
Yeah, I've lost more than one Goni and more than one Alveopora.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's I want something wavy in the tank, but I don't want to pay the price of it. So I went with the bubble tip anemones.
That works. I think if I had to tell somebody who wants to get into LPS or some of these pretty type of corals and wants something that's really hardy and still has that lovely movement, I would definitely recommend a Duncan coral. Duncanum samia, I think it's called in Latin. That one, I mean, you can kill it, obviously, but that one grows really well. A lot of movement. You can feed it with reefroids and such. It's just a really great coral. It's maybe not as colorful as some other ones, but it's got a great shape, great flow, and you won't be disappointed with a Duncan. Duncans are great.
Yeah, it's a little late for morning coffee, but cheers. Right on. Thanks, Shrimp Buckets. It's that time in the morning. I think we need to move on. Thanks everyone for being here. Lovey, before we leave, what do you guys say to the fish fam?
Oh man, I don't have anything prepared.
Good advice.
Advice?
Yeah.
I liked Ian's advice from earlier. Don't forget your water changes. Water changes, water changes, water changes, water changes. Keep up on your maintenance. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but don't give up on your dreams. If you eventually want to have a marine betta, do the research, invest in the right equipment, get yourself a marine betta. And not just with saltwater, with freshwater too, you know? Yeah. That's my advice for today, I guess.
Yeah. Personally, thank you, Lovey. You did an awesome job with your saltwater tanks, even oil tanks. But I'm loving your excitement, your zeal for spreading the word about aquariums. Keep it up. Don't let anyone put you down about it. And for those still watching, thank you. Thanks for the replay. Thanks for everyone being around. Do your water changes. Love your family. Give them hugs. And see you next time. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.